Hi!
Hi.
Welcome back. The gacha space has never been more hostile towards each other than right now, and unless you play either Gazer, which is actually EOSing soon, then you no doubt have been in online discourse about your favorite gacha game. But I am a person who believes there is value in every single gacha game, yes, even Genshin, and in 2026 there are specifically 5 games that I believe everyone should try out. Look, maybe you're not gonna play all 5 consistently, but these are the games I'm currently playing. Let me know your favorite games in the comments and what you're playing. But now, before we get onto the list, we have to get the very obvious out of the way. These are games that I will forever glaze, but I am just not currently playing them for one reason or another. Arknights will always be the best gacha game in my opinion. It objectively has some of the best story and gameplay. The only reason one wouldn't play it is because they're not a fan of tower defense, and while you might be wrong, it's only fair to not enjoy it for that reason. And to play it, I'm just waiting for the PC clients. Limbus Company also has some of the best around in the gacha space. Its whole gist is having a single central cast and only really releasing altars for them. It's a great auditory and visual experience with some great world building. I just don't play the game because I'm a gameplay focused person first and foremost, and Limbus's gameplay doesn't do it for me. Instead, we move on to the number 5 spot on the list, and this game is basically the opposite of Limbus Company for me. This is of course my goat, the Battle Cats. If you have not played the Battle Cats, you have not lived. It has a story mode that barely counts as a story, and instead is largely gameplay focused. It has the most balanced gameplay you'll ever see, is super F2P friendly, and in the end you can track your gacha pulls. It is not a game that rewards an insane amount of time investment. It's a mobile game you can log on to any day of the week, and you're gonna have a ton of fun. While you're gonna get a few bits of monetization shoved in your face, it's also insanely F2P friendly, requiring absolutely zero spending on your side to be able to clear the entire game. But either way, the Battle Cats is my favorite gacha game of all time. It carried my childhood, and of course, you can track your gacha pulls in it. Glory to the Battle Cats. Next up, the number 4 game I'm playing is Wuthering Waves. This might be a shock to you since I'm an Endfield creator, but I don't hate this game. Actually, I found most new-gen Endfield creators also play Wuthering Waves. We kinda just enjoy action RPG games. I play Wuthering Waves for the combat and the endgame content because I'm not a very huge fan of the way they do the story. While it is a great cinematic experience and quests like Furlovas are one of my favorites, I'm not a fan of how much object impermanence this story has. There are great moments for sure, but the gameplay is my real focus for when it comes to Wuthering Waves. Although one reason it's low on the list is because I'm also beginning to worry about that. I never really played Whimpering Waves too much in Wuthering Waves because I think it's a garbage mode and focused most of my gameplay on the TOA and holograms, since I'm also yet to unlock the Matrix because I'm not a veteran player by any means. But the middle tower in the TOA has been increasingly annoying to play with things like character shilling and HP inflation. While I wouldn't sound any alarm bells right now, if things keep going this way, I do think the TOA would become worse than the MOC ever was during primetime HP inflation era. Although Wuthering Waves is still a very F2P game with a pretty good gacha system and lots of rewards all over the place. If you choose your characters correctly for the sake of clearing the endgame content, you will have an alright time, but that's easier said than done because you'll need some foresight. It's kinda like when I went with Herda and HSR, who now rules the streets of T1.5. But other than that, Wuthering Waves is still a great experience and I do recommend everyone give it a shot. My real and biggest issue with it right now is the RNG gear, which obviously I fucking hate. Speaking of Herda ruling the streets of T1.5, other than a few examples, the meta in Honkai Star Rail is doing better than ever, and that's one reason why I have returned to playing it. I definitely say HSR is currently more F2P friendly than Wuthering Waves. They give around the same amount of pulls every patch, with Wuwa definitely giving a bit more, but HSR gives an insane amount of free 5 stars every year, including very meta options like Archer and Don Hunk Peter. And now the meta doesn't fucking kill you if you skip 2 patches. The other reason I came back to HSR is Himiko's SP, of course. I actually want to do the story in this game now. Even though it takes many hours out of your life, at least there's a skip on for the sloggy parts in Amphorius that I don't want to do at all. I just wish that back in Amphorius I logged on just to get Hysolence, because a dot team without her, even with the Nova Flare, still kinda sucks. You know what else sucks? The fucking RNG gear. Now I don't want to choose between 2 evils, so I'd say I hate Wuthering Waves' RNG gear just as much as I hate HSR's RNG gear. It's a pick your poison type of deal. Now you definitely don't need maximized stats in either game, but when I gamble for a character and get them, gambling more for stats on them just to be able to use them in the game is the last thing I want to do. RNG gear is a scourge on this planet. Either way, right now is one of the best times to download HSR specifically because of Himiko Nova lasting the entire next patch of 4.4 and the second part of the Fate collab coming, including Rin and Gilgamesh coming for free, who nobody's picking for the meta. We're all picking E1 Archer, let's be real. Next up is a game you might not expect. It's absolutely one of the most underrated gacha games out there because even though it does have a pretty large community relatively, nobody glazes it as much as they should. Like, look at Limbus Company fans who spread the word of their good god Kim Ji-hoon, but nobody is out here glazing Reverse 1999. The story in this game is definitely on the level of games like Arknights and Limbus Company. It's also just as F2P friendly, having a great gacha system with similar limited and standard banner rules as Arknights, as well as giving out tons of free rewards every single update. Anniversaries and collabs in this game are truly special, and we are getting an Atomic Heart collab very soon. I've always said this game is the most beautiful gacha games I've ever laid eyes upon, because while games like Wuthering Waves looks great with all of its insane ray tracing tech, you don't need crazy graphical fidelity to look good. Reverse 1999 proves this with its 2D and chibi art styles. Again, similar to Arknights, the inspiration is kinda clear, I can't lie. I've definitely got some endless glaze for this game, so you do have to try it out. I guarantee you'll like something about it. And now, the number one spot on the game. Of course, it's gonna be obvious. I'm an Arknights Endfield content creator. It's gonna be Arknights Endfield. Now, if you asked me a couple of months ago, I would have told you I wouldn't recommend Endfield because we were going through a very dry content patch. There were nearly 4 to 5 weeks of absolutely no content and it really sucked. But now, not only was 1.3 much better scheduled and filled with content, 1.4 also looks to be absolutely jam-packed. Of course, this is like one of the most hated gacha games of all time for plenty of stupid reasons. Meanwhile, even though it has been a potential game for a while, it is definitely showing its true potential now. 1.2 and 1.3 both had great story quests with the 1.2 main story and Zhuang Fangyi's section, and 1.3's Camille character quest, both of which were absolute cinematic masterpieces, and I am still obsessed with the Zhuang Fangyi letter scene. Now we're getting the live stream tomorrow, but we already have 3 characters teased, one of which might be free because it's a half anniversary celebration. We're getting 2 new gameplay modes at least, a couple new maps, and the biggest factory update to date, right after we got Contingency Contract and the most fun Umbral Monument rotation so far. So Endfield also has a huge update coming soon, just like Reverse 1999 and HSR, and juggling all 3 games is gonna be quite a problem for me. But the best part about this game, and the single biggest reason why I made it over every other big gacha game like Wuthering Waves and Honkai Star Rail, is because you don't have to suffer for months to get perfect gear. You just craft it, and then like a week later you can have 100% maxed out gear, and then 2 weeks later you can have fully maxed out essences too. We just run out of secrets very frequently. On the topic of RNG gear, this game is also insanely F2P accessible. So far it's been following the exact philosophy of Arknights and how every character is useful somewhere. You can build any single team and clear the endgame content very effectively. Even Contingency Contract, the hardest endgame content you might ever play, only requires you to go up to risk 20 to get all the rewards, everything else being entirely optional. Umbral Monuments also has no such thing as shilling a certain character, other than Gilberta, and all enemies have the same resistance to all elements, meaning you can genuinely use whoever you want. And of course, we can discuss the gacha system like the few thousand times we already did, but let's leave that to the big gacha video I'm making very soon. I'm just gonna leave it at 1.4 is gonna be great, and glory to hypergryph. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Rain Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.